Hey y'all, welcome to Camira's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make some bubbly scallop potatoes, some mustard fried chicken coated in a hot honey sauce, some steamed veg, and some black eyed peas and rice. You guys are going to absolutely love this soul food meal. Let's go ahead and get started. Now for starters, I have 10 chicken wings. I have cut them into the drummet and thigh pieces. I also have some chicken and poultry rub, some garlic powder, some Lowry seasoned salt, but you can use any seasoned salt of your choice, some MSG, y'all. Okay, y'all know I'm gonna do it. All right, some onion powder, some white pepper powder, but black pepper powder is totally fine, and of course some mustard. Now for starters, I'm going to put on just a drop of a little avocado oil, and I'm going to put on about a tablespoon of mustard. Now you could use French's, all right, but I'm using Aldi because Aldi costs 50 cents, okay? And then I'm going to put on some of this chicken and poultry rub. You all can use any chicken seasoning you prefer, but for the amount of wings that I have, I'm going to put on about a teaspoon. This already has the herbs and everything in it. That's why I like it. I'm also going to put on about a teaspoon of garlic powder, about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of this Lowry seasoning salt, just a pinch of MSG. You don't need a lot to enhance the flavor. This is probably about a fourth a teaspoon, as well as about a teaspoon of onion powder, a half a teaspoon of black pepper powder, and then I'm just going to mix everything in well. Now I'm going to allow this to marinate for about 15 minutes, but y'all know if you really want that chicken right, you better marinate overnight, honey, okay? But I'm recording and I don't have that time, so I'm just going to do a few minutes at room temperature. Now to season my flour, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add about 3/4 of a cup of flour to some Tupperware. Using Tupperware is the easiest thing to do. It makes way less cleanup in my opinion. And I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of cornstarch. The cornstarch is going to make the coating light and crispy. I'm then going to go in with the same seasonings to taste in my flour. You do have to season the flour well, okay? Once you season your flour, I would go in and actually just, give it a light little taste to see if you can taste anything. If you can't taste nothing, it ain't going to taste like nothing on that chicken, okay? So go and give it a taste, all right? Before you put the chicken in, because we ain't trying to get no salmonellas, okay? Then I'm going to shake this up, and then I'm going to start coating my chicken. I'm going to put them in about 3 at a time, give them a really nice shake, and then I'm going to set them to the side just to let the coating saturate for about 10 minutes. It's going to help the breading stay on. If you've been enjoying this video so far, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what other meals you would like to see. I do take subscriber requests. Subscribe if you want weekly recipes from me because I do post new meals every single week. Now after I knock off the flour, I'm going to let it rest at the side, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue and I'm going to do the rest of my batches. I'm going to start frying in some good old canola oil. So I'm going to heat up some in a pot here. Now you're going to know it's ready when you can stick in a wooden spoon and it immediately starts bubbling. You could also use a thermometer, but you know your grandmama ain't use that. She just stuck that spoon up in there and she was good to go. Okay. Now I like to put in about 5 chicken wings, 4 to 5 at one time. I cook these for about 8 to 10 minutes. Chicken wings will cook pretty fast. It all depends on how big they are. If you like to do drumsticks, you can do about 12 to 15 minutes. If you're doing thighs, about 14 to 15 because they're a lot thicker. Personally, I don't fry dark meat all that often, especially chicken breast because it tends to dry out. But you could also do chicken breast. Now after about 10 minutes, my chicken wings are golden and beautiful. Okay, they are so beautiful. And I am going to go in and scrape out any of those extra bits so that when I do my second batch, they will not burn and I won't get any sort of bad flavor into my chicken. I also let the oil come back up to temperature, and then I'm going to put in my last set of wings, cook them for about 10 minutes. and place them at the side. Now, doing a coating on top of the wings is totally optional, but I just wanted to have a little something special that day, so I put in some unsalted butter as well as a little bit of Tony's Creole seasoning just to my own taste. I also went in with some salt-free Cajun seasoning. This has like garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, some herbs, all right? You could just put that in individually. A little more butter. All right, I let this cook on a medium-low heat, and then I went in with about a tablespoon of hot sauce. Now, this truly wasn't all that hot, but if you wanted hotter, you could put in about 3 tablespoons of hot sauce. I put in about a tablespoon of honey, and then I transferred my chicken into a large bowl. I am going to just lightly toss and coat my chicken. I don't tend to prefer the sauce on a chicken just to be like super dripping. So I just have a light sauce. I tossed it. It gave a great flavor. And this chicken was chef's kiss delicious, y'all. You gotta make this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start working on my scallop potatoes. Here I have 4 medium-sized rustic potatoes. I have given them a very good wash because y'all know potatoes be dirty now. And I'm going to go in with my little peeler and I'm going to peel off the skin. Then I am going to chop them into some relatively thin slices. You don't want them too thin because if you make them too thin, when you parboil them, they're just going to start to disintegrate. But these are maybe about 1/4 of an inch thickness, and I'm going to chop all the way down. Once I'm done chopping, I'm going to place them in some water. This is not only going to get off the excess starch, but it's going to help prevent them from turning brown. Growing up, scallop potatoes was really a side dish I would only get as a part of like a Sunday dinner or a soul food meal. You know, that after church food, you know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite side dish growing up after church or during a soul food meal? What was it? Now, I am going to really season this water that I'm going to parboil the potatoes in. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of vegetable base and a generous amount of salt, maybe about 1/2 tablespoon. And I'm going to parboil these potatoes for about 3 to 5 minutes. You just have to watch them. It is important that you heavily season the water because this is one of your few opportunities to get some seasoning into the potatoes, and the potatoes are bland. Now, you will know your potatoes are about ready when you see that they are cooked a little on the rim, but they are still a little bit raw in the middle. This is exactly where you want them. Now, at this stage, you're going to drain them. They are hot and they need to be cooled down immediately so that they do not continue to cook. So you need to go ahead and put cold water on them immediately. Okay, I'm going to rinse them very well. Now, if you see that some of them start to come apart or they're a little bit extra soft, that is of no concern at all. That's normal. Okay, they're a little bit fragile at this stage, and honestly, you would even know the difference when you put them in your casserole dish. Now, I have a small 8x8 casserole dish. I'm going to put all my potatoes. Some of them just turned a little brown from being exposed to the air because it just took me a little while before I started baking them, but that's no problem. After I put them in my dish, I'm going to start on this sauce. I am adding 2 tablespoons of salted butter to my pot as well as a tablespoon of flour, and I'm going to lightly toast this for about 30 seconds until it's, you know, it's light skin. We're looking for a light skin roux. Okay, and then I'm going to put in a whole can of evaporated milk. This is essentially concentrated milk that is meant for cooking, but you are more than welcome to just use whole milk. That would be great. I would not use like 1% milk or something of that nature because the fat content won't be enough to go into this dish well and make it that thick, creamy sauce that you're going to be looking for. Once I have mixed this in, I'm then going to add some cheese. You can use any cheese of your choice. Here I have some Gouda cheese, Munster cheese, Parmesan, and Colby Jack. In total, I have about 6 ounces of cheese. I just chose this because I had this in my fridge. But my favorite cheese to use in this is actually a combination of Swiss cheese and Parmesan cheese. But I didn't have that today. Okay, but that would be absolutely delicious. I'm going to add my cheeses and I'm going to allow them to melt. You're going to notice this is going to look very similar to the way you make a macaroni and cheese. I'm then going in with about a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of white pepper powder, and about half a teaspoon of onion powder. At the end of the day, you can just season to your taste and do whatever you like. Once I mix this in, I'm also going to be adding some Vegeta. Y'all have seen me use this as a vegetable bouillon. This is going to take the place of salt as well as chicken bouillon. If you don't have this, then add in about a teaspoon of chicken bouillon. I'm going to use about a cup of heavy cream in total. Now, I didn't put a cup in at this very moment, but you will see later that I end up adding some more. I put in about a fourth of a cup of water, and then I'm going to taste this. Now, the amount of salt you add to this sauce depends on how salty your potatoes taste. So taste your cooked potatoes and taste this, and that will help you determine how much salt you need to add to your dish, because potatoes need a lot of seasoning. I'm then going to pour over all my sauce, but after I did this, you will see that I decided that I wanted a little bit more sauce. And you guys know we just home cooks up in the kitchen. So look, we just gonna improvise. Y'all know how home cooks do, okay? So I'm gonna go in with about a fourth a cup of more heavy cream. So that's why I said in total I used about 1 cup, and I'm just going to mix it in and then add a little bit more pepper to this, and you couldn't even tell the difference, okay? Then I'm going to put on just enough cheese to coat the topping so that it'll become nice and golden brown. This whole time I've had my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I am going to bake this for about 30 to 35 minutes until the top is nice and golden brown. I'm going to add a little paprika to give it that beautiful color, and then I'm going to pop this straight into the oven. Now, this is what I got after about 35 minutes. It was beautiful, golden, and bubbly. My potatoes had finished cooking, and this was just magnificent. I allowed this to sit for about 7 minutes before I cut into this. And guys, this was some of the creamiest, most delicious scallop potatoes, and I know you all are going to love this. To go with this, I'm going to pair up a very simple and easy black-eyed pea rice. I'm going to toast some about a fourth of an onion in about 2 tablespoons of butter. Then I'm going to add in 1 cup of washed jasmine rice. I'm going to toast this in the butter for about 2 minutes, stirring continuously to bring out a delicious flavor. I love to add black-eyed peas to rice because I think it adds a nice protein and it adds a lot of fiber and it just tastes great. So I washed 1 can of black-eyed peas, and then I'm going to stir this in with my rice for about 30 seconds just to get off any excess moisture, because you don't want to put in too much liquid. Now, to cook this, I'm using some beef consomme. This is like a concentrated beef broth that's really good. I put it in my measuring cup and then added enough water to make this 1.5 cups of liquid. I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of beef bouillon. I know you may think it's going to be too much salt, but I promise you it will not, okay? To enhance the flavor, I put in a bay leaf. I cut this up to allow this to boil. I put on my lid, and then I allowed this to simmer for 20 to 23 minutes. And there you have a simple and delicious black-eyed pea rice that is very nutritious. For me, I love to include lots of veg at every meal, so I'm going to be doing cabbage, kale with a little bit of collard greens mixed in there, as well as some carrots, and I'm going to prep them and steam them. This is actually a collard green flour, okay, because I get these greens from my garden, and they are edible as well. They almost taste like a little bit of a broccolini. And guys, I've had people ask me, do I eat vegetables, or am I just eating all the starches at this meal? Come on now, y'all. I would be blocked up more than LA traffic if I won't eat no vegetables, okay? I eat a significant amount of vegetables at every meal. Actually, I have about 2 cups or more at most meals, and I encourage you guys to eat tons of vegetables. When you do it like this in a very simple way, and they're so colorful, guys, I promise you it is super delicious. I just have my kale and my collard greens together, and I just gave them a rough chop. I prepped my cabbage by taking off any of the dry parts and putting them in the compost bowl, and I cut it into about a 1/2 inch slices. just good enough, you know, so that it can steam but still keep a little crunch. I also just prepped my carrots by topping and telling them and then peeling them, and then I like to cut them on the diagonal, you know, because it look fancy that way. And guys, and that is my simple veggie prep. It doesn't take more than this. Now, unlike a typical soul food veggies, I'm not going to be putting any meat or pork in this one. I didn't want that flavor today. I just wanted something light and very fresh. So I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of butter and all my veg into this wok. I just love doing these vegetables in the wok because it can just hold all of them while they shrink. I'm then going to add a little bit of Vegeta to taste. That's going to be all the seasoning that I'm going to use. I'm going to cover this, and then I'm going to let this cook on medium-low for about 3 to 5 minutes undisturbed. I'll go in there and then turn the veggies once they wilt, and then I'll adjust the seasoning if needed. And that is a super simple, easy veg. Y'all better not skip the vegetable in y'all plate, okay? Once I have this done, my whole meal is ready, and this is this fabulous meal prepared. I pray you guys love this meal. Please know that I love you, and if no one's told you today, Jesus loves you and cares about you. I hope I will see you next time in Camirra's Kitchen. God bless you.